If you don't see it, it doesn't count.
Come on, Sid.
Wow.
Yeah, Sid, if it
Jeez.
doesn't have... Yeah, if you don't see it, it doesn't count. Okay,
It
Sid.
doesn't happen. If a team loses and no one saw it on broadcast, did it exist? That was really
If it didn't happen on
Whoa!
stream, it didn't
What
happen.
the?
Yeah, exactly. But
Oh,
yeah, let's talk about
turbo
these blind picks
time.
we've got here for game number 1.
This is what-
turbo time.
This is what we wanted to see from Method NA, though, is they, for a long time, a lot of people kind of just thought they were a one-trick. Like, what happens if Mage, Windwalker, Paladin isn't good? Well, we're going to find out. With Ceralium coming in on that Enhancement Shaman. Let's see if they can kind of rise to the occasion. Golden Guardians locking in one of their best, most practiced compositions, the Assassination Rogue Shadow Priest Shaman. This is going to be a really explosive matchup.
Yep, anybody can get deleted in this matchup. I think they're going to be going after Drake right now, and Ceralium as well could be an option here. When it comes to the Golden Guardians, they just get pressure wherever they can find it, and then, ooh, a nice Hex here onto Absterge, into another Hex here actually, gets interrupted there, so nicely done. Double Fear coming out here from Drake as well. Now, Pikaboo here in a Stormbolt could be in trouble. He's going to Trinket, trade out the Vanish, and he's going to stay in stealth here for a second. Master Spell comes out. All right, Wizk almost getting destroyed right there. Absterge going to use that Ascendance and get his teammates back to full HP. Now, Absterge looking for the Hex here, not able to find it. He does fake us that Wind Shear, though, of Ceralium. Grounding Totem as well gets dropped, so now Absterge actually can find the Hex if he continues to pursue it, but right now, still a lot of damage here. Now, onto Drake. Nice pressure coming out from the Golden Guardians, but I mean, they got the objective there. They got Pikaboo's Trinket, and next time they can get a setup like that, they can get Absterge's Trinket potentially, and they just got to keep rinsing and repeating that. Right now, mana, though, definitely in favor of the Golden Guardians, and this is a Vendetta push, so definitely a lot of potential here for the Golden Guardians.
Let's see if the curveball method NA is going to work here. Blinding Light on Absterge. Wizk the target, but Shadow Priest is actually surprisingly durable against Enhancement Shaman Arms Warrior. Pikaboo pre-flesh crafting an incoming attack, anticipating his opponents. Brain into the stun, Wizk setting up. Psychic Scream, out of range of Tremor Totem. Ceralium trying to run out of range of Hex, but can't range it. Now unable to toss in some extra heals. Drake trading Die by the Sword. A bit of a scary moment for Method NA, an important cooldown out of the way. Smoke Bomb still available, but here comes the Sharpened Blade. Big damage on the Pikaboo, and Absterge is going to respect it, popping down that Spirit Link Totem, not wanting to get Chain Harvest crit from the Enhancement Shaman, so a little bit premature. Better to use it there than to die without using it, though, I would imagine. However, Ascendance is available, Spirit Wolves are up, Avatar is popped. Ceralium at any point could launch a huge amount of damage. Unfortunately, he's a frog. We cannot launch that attack while he is ribbiting around, waiting to come out of Hex. But a Fear onto Absterge. This is a good opportunity. Here comes the pop. Big damage onto Pikaboo. Are they ready? Feint activated at 50%. Cloak of Shadows trades for the Ascendants quite effectively. And Pikaboo's tanking him out in the Earthen Wall. That was a nice response from the Golden Guardians. That type of burst damage can catch you off guard quite quickly.
Oh, I mean, there really is no doubt about it. The Enhancement Shaman and the Warrior, surprisingly durable and surprisingly bursty as well. So you have to be on point. That's a really good life grip there by Wizk, which ultimately kept Pikaboo alive in that situation. But now cooldowns are slowly rotating back up. Golden Guardians, they now have their Trinket. The Pikaboo's going to have to trade out the Feint as well as the Evasion in order to survive. In terms of mana, Method NA actually has a little bit of a lead here, which is a bit unexpected in all honesty. Drake right now taking quite a bit of damage, but Ceralium on that Enhancement Shaman has massive healing capabilities. If he's got mana, he can keep someone alive with basically a full heal instantaneously if he has the resources available. So even though Brain, he gets caught in crowd control, they're going to have to get crowd control on Ceralium as well if they want to end up taking down Drake. Right now, you can see, once again, Drake's health, 50%, then he's full health, even though there's full crowd control on Brain. So you kind of have to have crowd control on both the healers for Method NA if Golden Guardians wants to end up taking someone down.
Yeah, and honestly, in terms of blind picks, I really feel like Golden or Method NA, they wanted to avoid that Shadow Priest Hunter, that Mage Killer composition, and that's why they locked this in. And I feel like Golden Guardians, they kind of anticipated that blind locking Jellybeans immediately could backfire. So I'm glad that they didn't lock in the Hunter Shadow Priest here, because it would definitely be a tricky match for them to win. So in terms of blind picks, I think they got similar to what they wanted. Pikaboo is going to use his Vanish right here, while Absterge is in that Blinding Light. Mana looking good so far for Golden Guardians. There is a setup now. Kidney Shot onto Drake. disarm into silence onto Brain. Drake's going to drop to about 50% HP there. Ceralium's going to give him 1 heal on that enhancement shaman, pick him back up again, and that hybrid healing definitely a big key here for Method NA. Now Brain pushing in, looking for some crowd control on the Absterge. Absterge doesn't have a grounding totem here for the Hammer of Justice for a couple of seconds, so he needs to try to keep his distance if he wants to go for that play. Now again here, KD shot onto Drake. Mind games this time as well. Big damage from Wizk, Shadow Crash, and that's Dispel coming out from Brain. And even if these mind games are getting Dispelled, it's still adding a lot of pressure here with those with that mana cost, because Dispel is very expensive. And also Absterge calling in his Earthen Elemental now that Brain is somewhat is definitely good news for him. He's called it in, and he's sent over onto Brain right there. You can see it kind of retreating back here for a second, and both of these shamans have their Earth Elementals out right now. I would say so far it's anybody's game, but I would say Golden Guardians in a slight lead because of that mana.
Yeah, mana definitely in their favor. A full blind onto Brain. How are they going to trade here? Pikaboo on the back foot, trading out Cloak of Shadows prior to the Ascendance. Maybe it's a bait. He's going to use Evasion on it, and he just wants to get the Ascendance out of the way. Saying here, I've used my Cloak. Look at Ceralium, you're going to pop that Ascendance on me? I'm a juicy target, and he might be baiting it with the Evasion. Kiting away now, and that's one thing that's Assassination is particularly good at, is just using the throw knife and running out of range of melee DPS. However, they're going after Wizk. Double Sunder connects. They're going after Pikaboo in the Stormbolt. They get the Medallion Evasion prior to Ascendance. Man, if I'm Ceralium right now, I'm basically watering at the mouth to kill Pikaboo. He is just a juicy target at the moment with no medallion and no evasion. They're desperate. They drop Smoke Bomb. They're trying to go after Drake, trying to pressure him down, but it looks like a sacrifice slipped through prior to it, along with Die by the Sword, reducing a lot of damage, and Ceralium's now out of crowd control, waiting to press that Ascendance bind. I can imagine at any moment here, how are they going to deal with it? Here comes the Stormbolt. Where's the Ascendance? Here they're going to pop. They grip Pikaboo, trying to get him behind the pillar, but this is still a tremendous amount of damage. Absterge pre-flesh crafting, but Pikaboo's taking it. He's going to get taken out. They were not ready, and Ceralium got him. 1-0 up in the series.
Drake. Oh, look at that smile from Drake. That was greed. That was pure and utter greed from Pikaboo. He had the Vanish. He could have easily survived that, but I mean, I'm going to be honest, enhancement shamans have been troubling for me in the past, but they've been troubling for me in Shadowlands as well. The damage just doesn't end. You just wave after wave of tornadoes and hurricanes, whatever's coming after you, storm, thunder, lightning. You'll see it in the replay. I mean, Pikaboo's health is just spiking. He's at range. He's feeling safe, but the damage is just never ending. And I mean, ultimately, looking back at it, obviously you should have traded it out that Vanish, but it is a surprising amount of damage.
Yeah, and I mean, it also comes down to the trade he just made right there, where he trinketed and dropped that evasion. Maybe not in the most scary situation, and then now, as soon as they get that pressure with that Ascendance, it's even more. It makes it even more greedy. That usually you would have an evasion there, but since you already traded out the evasion, it's still not going for the Vanish. It's definitely greedy. So Pikaboo here is feeling kind of safe. He gets he's still on pretty high HP. Here just Vanish. Just he gets Shane harvested there. Ceralium, the harvester, picking up the crops here.
Oh my.
All right. Well, I think for Method NA, this was a really important match because it does show that they are capable of that flexibility we're looking for. I mean, Turbo Cleave is one of those compositions right now. It is incredibly strong in Shadowlands, and if you can play it at a high level, it's going to answer a lot of these different compositions, especially something like the Assassination Rogue Shadow Priest. That could be really difficult if you're playing, Windwalker Fire Mage. So having something where you can kind of pick up the slack and have answers for these potential counter comps for your main composition, really important. And that was a major question we had for Method NA, and I think they've answered it here with this because that looked really good. I mean, there was basically no moments in the game where it was scary for Drake, maybe one or something like that, but it just seemed like Ceralium was always there to heal him, or we had the Paladin there available as well. So Method NA looking really good. Golden Guardians, I think they're probably going to mix it up, as I don't think traditionally this is a great matchup for the Shadow Priest Assassination Rogue Shaman.
So do you think then, Van, if Method NA does win this series here against Golden Guardians, is this the most difficult matchup that they've had in the circuit? And is this the game that really proves themselves as a team?
I don't know if it's necessarily the most difficult matchup for them, but it might be the matchup that forces them to get out of their comfort zone. But if they're well practiced, that doesn't necessarily mean it's super difficult. I mean, this is obviously something that they looked really comfortable in. They had a great game plan. These hard swaps on Pikaboo, every single Stormbolt. Outside of that, you just go after Wizk, kind of limit all the damage that he's able to put out. And it just seemed like Golden Guardians really struggled to find pressure. So I think Method NA, they kind of made this one look easy and kind of one-sided, even though they're playing these alternate specializations. I think it's really going to be up to Golden Guardians to mix it up and try something else. And I do think they have some solid answers. My question is, I wonder what Method NA decides to lock in blind. It probably depends on the map, but do you think they'll actually lock in turbo blind?
Well, would they lose to Wizk Mage if they did that?
If they pick Turbo blind, Golden Guardians should play Warrior Shadow Priest. It's like the best counter into Turbo. I swear it's 99.9% chance win against Turbo's Shadow Priest Warrior.
Really?
Especially Shaman version into Paladin Turbo. I think if Golden Guardians don't play Warrior Shadow Priest when they know that it's Turbo, I think that's their best. And Jellybeans has been playing a lot of Warrior, and it's not like it's the biggest deal to swap him in on Warrior and keep Absterge and Wizk on their mains. That's what I would like to see if Method picks Turbo blind, but I feel like they're not going to. I don't really know what their best blind is anymore. They've got such a weird roster now.
What's a weird roster?
Method NA's got a weird roster because it's not predictable anymore. Whereas before, when it was like only Windwalker Mage, now it's weird. It's like
weird. They have more than one comp.
In the past, I would have said Windwalker Mage, but now I'm just like, nah.
Oh, they're doing it.
So.
They blind lock it.
I like that they blind locked it on DALARAN too. I feel like Golden Guardians. I don't know why they picked this.
I want to see Jellybeans.
Oh, 100%.
I want to see Warrior Shadow Priest Shaman.
You know what I want to see? I want to see Wizk Ret Jellybeans BM Hunter. That's what I want to see.
It's okay. I don't know about into Paladin.
I want to see it.
That comp is okay. I think Warrior Shadow Priest is better, but it really depends on how practiced they feel at it. I feel like it plays so similarly to Rogue Shadow Priest that it's just you're just subbing in a Warrior. It's just way more pressure than the Rogue is able to bring. But they're gonna think about it. They could Ret Hunter. I mean, they one-shot my Turbo as Ret Hunter, but I felt like that was just because my team was just making mistakes, and I didn't feel like it was gonna be super hard. Like it's definitely. I feel like there's a cheese element to Ret Hunter Shaman when they're running the triple one-shot with Nightphase Shaman. I think the standard play would just be Jellybeans and Warrior. I swear, when I've encountered
Jellybeans on
Shadow Priest Warrior on the
Come
ladder, I've probably won one game out of like 80.
Yeah, you're a disciplined priest.
And I've fought so many of them.
You're a priest. You're like a... That's not real.
It's the same with Paladin. It's the same with Paladin.
I think Disciplined Priest Turbo is probably a lot worse into Shadow Priest Warrior Shaman than Paladin version. Can we agree?
I swear it's the same. Brain's gonna run out of mana.
Okay.
Definitely a lot of choices here, and they're using the full timer as well. I mean, look at Carl. He looks deep in concentration at the moment.
Yeah, true.
Okay,
Wait, they're not doing the Shaman?
Wait, who called this? Ben, you said you wanted to see Wizk Ret?
That's what I said. Yeah, I said I wanted to see this.
I
just know exactly
Holy
what Golden
Priest?
Guardians is gonna run. I don't know why. How do I always know?
Crazy.
I mean, they played it yesterday. Like, I played against them playing it, but it just felt like if you lost, it was because you made a mistake, not because it was like a super good comp.
Absterge Holy Priest too.
Yeah.
What do you think?
They want the mind games, so it's going to be like Hodge, Chastise, mind games.
That's scary for Ceralium. I think this
he needs
is
to
really,
be Dwarf.
Really you think he's going to?
Who needs to be Dwarf?
Ceralium.
Ceralium needs to be Dwarf for Stone Skin. Or Dark Iron Dwarf.
Fireblood.
Fireblood.
Do you think Ceralium here in this matchup is really vulnerable then?
I think the one thing you're afraid of, I think the one thing you're afraid of as kind of these like healer hybrids, like Ret Paladins and Enhancement Shamans, is dampening, which I don't think this game goes to.
No way.
Or mind games. Yeah, mind games and dampening are the things you're most afraid of. So I think that's kind of the logic of Absterge. They need that little bit of extra offense, but I think this should be a pretty decent matchup here. I think Golden Guardians has the right idea. It's kind of why I wanted to see them lock it in. I'm curious to see what Method NA does in this one.
What's Jelly's win rate on BM Hunter in Shadowlands?
We're gonna
Did
need
they
a
lose
stat.
a game when they brought him out? Huh?
I think they lost 1, right? 1?
Was it 1? I'll have to look at it, but I don't know. I think no matter what happens, I think exciting things are going to happen when we see Jellybeans come out. But it is a little risky. Like, don't you think having, you know, we hear players talk about sort of switching things up and playing new compositions, and something that we always hear, I feel like, is like they don't want to put 2 ults at the board at the same time. So we feel like this is kind of risky, especially going up against a team like Method NA. I mean, they've got to be a little bit nervous to go not having those comfort choices out on the board right now. I mean, we've got 2 players on alt compositions, alt specs.
I think what makes this a little bit scary is that we haven't really seen Absterge Holy Priest that much. I don't think we've ever seen Wizk Rat. So in that regard, it is a little scary, but at the same time, on the flip side, you got Ceralium. I don't think we've ever, I can't recall ever seeing him on an enhanced shaman. And also Drake.
It's true.
Is playing that warrior, and he's a Windwalker main. I think the reason why we don't look at it as 2 alts is just because we're used to seeing Drake on the warrior, and he's been performing really well on that. So I mean, we'll see if Wizk can kind of live up to that as well, and that should balance it out. And I mean, they had the counter comp allegedly here, so for Golden Guardians,
allegedly.
I don't know. Yeah,
I'm not saying it's a counter comp. I don't know if it's a counter comp. I just think it's not their worst option. And also, I think we actually have seen Ceralium on the Enhancement Shaman 1 time. They played it on Hook Point against Hamsters and Hares. Hamsters and Hares locked in Warrior Death Knight and beat them. That was the only time we've seen Ceralium on the Shaman, I do believe.
Wow.
I have fond memories of that, yes.
But did that come from your brain, or are you looking at something?
No, I'm just looking at the ceiling. You know, it's just coming to me. I do remember that, though. So Method NA, this is something they've kind of televised before, but maybe they've practiced it more. Or maybe this just is something they've always practiced, but this is just a mashup that they wanted it in. Golden Guardians, like Super C said, I mean, this is something that they have been playing, this Ret PM Hunter, and it definitely could work here. It is a ton of damage. I mean, the ability for Retribution Paladin to just one-shot you is quite high. Then you have all that consistent damage and the Mortal Wounds effect from the BM Hunter with good crowd control. You have Mind Games. Method NA is going to have to be on point if they want to win this one.
Yeah, most definitely not. A lot of room for mistakes here with either of these teams. I think this is number 1 and 2 right now in the North American region. Both of these teams having an insane winning streak in the circuit. So loser of this series definitely wouldn't go well for them. It's Method NA potentially putting themselves here on match point on DALARAN, or is Golden Guardians going to tie this one up?
All right, and in honor of our question of the week on twitter.com/WoWEsports, where you guys definitely should follow, we call these comps Turbo, that's Warrior Enhance, and of course Cupid Cleave, because you have the Ret with the wings and the Hunter with the arrows. So yeah, Turbo versus Cupid Cleave here on DALARAN Sewers. Game started. Big pressure coming out here on both hybrids here on that Ret and that Enhancement Shaman. Drake now going to be making his way across. Oh, Ceralium. What is going on? 20%, 30% right there. I think he's saved by the light. Actually procced right there. So definitely a big moment immediately as soon as the gates open here.
The only thing that's stressing me out a bit could potentially be the Holy Priest. If the Holy Priest is crowd controlled at all or runs out of Serenity charges, the healing output just dramatically plummets. So at the moment, Absterge has 2 charges of Serenity after activating the Apotheosis. Brain's in a freezing trap. Good opportunity to take down Ceralium. Hammers down. Absterge is feared up. He can't mind games. Wizk in a bit of trouble. Recovering from a Serenity there with the Sanctuary out of crowd control. Good coordination. Ceralium still obviously the target. Brain into a Psychic Scream. Tremor comes down, breaking him out. Pressure across the board. They're trying to take out Wizk here. Stun on Absterge. And just to use, I believe, human racial to get out of it. So able to avoid that stun lock. Brain is now stunned. Ceralium in trouble. Big pressure. Blessing of Protection. They have a way to get rid of it at the moment. Absterge doesn't look like he's in range. Blessing of Protection looks like it's subsided. Absterge is interrupted. This is a tense moment for both sides because both comps are bursty. Here comes the Ascendance. Is Wizk ready for it? He's on 10% health here. His Reign of Ancient Kings legendary is going to proc, reducing damage, but the Chain Harvest connects. He just
Oh,
no
two
bubble.
games!
No bubble.
Look at Drake, he's
NA
smiling
go up
again.
2-0.
Look at Drake, he's like, yes, 2 games in a row.
Yeah.
I love it.
He will never laugh.
That's the power of the enhancement, Shaman. I mean, if you're Golden Guardians, you have to be a bit sad. Game number 1, didn't use the Vanish. Game number 2, didn't use the Divine Shield. You try to greet it, but Turbo Cleave is just such an explosive composition. And even though it seemed like Golden Guardians picked kind of a, in air quotes, counter comp, Method NA seemed very confident in that matchup, and they look good.
They do look good, and we're seeing Golden Guardians just struggle a little bit to keep their head above water here, trying out these new compositions within this series here and not having it work out 2 games in a row. We can see that all unfold right here as well.
Yep, and I mean, we're going to see that right there at the end. Wizk thought he was safe there when he jumped down, but unfortunately for him, there was more damage to come. Ceralium here dropping kind of low during that trap. Jellybeans not landing a trap. That's got to be a world first right there. But anyway, you got to see here, Absterge gets wind sheared. Wizk takes quite a beating here, and a pre-cast shattering throw. Wizk thinks he's safe here because of that prot legendary. He goes behind the pillar and chain harvest. The harvester Ceralium comes in, harvesting the crops like it's summertime.
I don't actually think that was Chain Harvest, but I also...
Yeah, I
Yeah,
think Chain Harvest did damage reduction and just auto attack killed him after.
But I kind of like where we're going with the Harvester. So.
No, it's Ceralium is a straight up farmer.
He's harvest Pikaboo. He's harvested Wizk. So who's next?
Who's next for Ceralium? Ruins of Lordaeron, game number 3.
yeah, Ruins of Lordaeron. I dare you.
All right, well, whoever is next, Method NA on fire right now, having a very solid series right now. So things at the moment I feel like are a little bit like just, you know, very much in Method NA's favor, Supatees. It seems like Golden Guardians, as of yet, doesn't so much have an answer for enhancement arms.
It's kind of like both defeats are kind of like semi-chokes. They didn't go the distance, you know. They didn't run that through its paces. They just ended up falling flat before the finish line. Pikaboo could have survived in game number 1. And they're dying to the same cooldown too. This is 2 games in a row dying to Ascendance. That's the cooldown that you need to respect. You disrespect the Ascendance, you become a crop, and you're gonna be harvested by Ceralium. Like you can't. There's some things in WoW that you just have to respect. You have to trade with them. Ascendance, I would say, is one of them. And now moving into game number 3, they didn't really get too much information other than maybe their offense was good. Ceralium was under a lot more pressure than when they played the Shadow Priest Rogue, but there's no way they can blind lock Ret Hunter, right? You think they can play blind lock Ret Hunter 3 games in a row?
Absolutely
I don't think that
not.
they can.
0% chance.
Do they go back to Shadow Priest Rogue and say, all right, well, we just got to beat everything they've got with this one comp? To me, that's probably their best odds if they want to win the whole series. And they may as well get started now. But it's just, this is going to be a tough road. It's going to be a tough road.
Yeah, it certainly is proving to be that way so far. So we will see if they decide to adjust here heading into game number 3. Do we want to take a guess maybe on potential map choices, Supatees, for Golden Guardians?
The thing is, they can win on mana with a shaman, I think. So bigger is not better for them, I think. They probably want something smaller. The fact that they picked DALARAN, what would be the best overall?
Ruins of Lordaeron, I told you.
They went to Ruins of Lordaeron against an Enhancer Shaman. They want to relive the experience. They want the Benruki experience.
What? God, man.
I feel like we brought that up every weekend for the entire circuit. I'm so sorry, Ben.
That's okay.
But
I mean,
like,
this is like a
so
cursed
really, like,
situation. Like, you don't pick this situation. This is like bad mojo. You
it's
can't.
like bad juju.
Yeah, you can't pick Runes of Lordaeron against Enhancement Shaman when you've died twice without using a cooldown. This is just
Oh,
asking for trouble.
Maybe
Man,
this is
well-
exactly what you want, though. You go to a map where you're just going to look at your fate right in the eye and, you know, try to overcome because, yeah, I mean, for Golden Guardians, I don't know. I feel like the game didn't go the distance, like you said. Wizk obviously went down without using his bubble. But was the game even looking good for them outside of that? I don't know if it was. Like, it didn't
Like
seem
average, I think. Wasn't terrible.
I think average is a bit of a
Wasn't good.
stretch. I felt like it looked
Was
kind
it
of bad.
It wasn't terrible, but was it good? Like, I'm really not sure. So, I don't know. Maybe they just really feel like this is their best option. But here's the big problem, okay? The elephant in the room. At this point, even if Golden Guardians wins this, they have to come up with a blind pick. And I think Method NA might have an answer for their blind pick. So, we'll definitely have to wait and see. But first things first, we are going to Ruins of Lordaeron Game 3. Both these teams are undefeated so far in the round robin, but after this game, the next game, or the game after that, one of them will have their first loss. Which team is it going to be? We'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, and we're going to see right now. The gates have opened. Game 3. Golden Guardians on match point on Ruins of Lordaeron here. And Ceralium's going to trade out his Astral Shift first global there. Not sure. Just going to trade it, I guess, for Jellybeans, Hunter cooldowns, also Wings of Wizk here. But now they're still going to be active a little bit. Now they do fade there about the same time as that Astral Shift. Now Absterge here using his Leap of Fate onto Wizk, trying to get some distance between him and the melees. Full Hammer of Justice onto Absterge, gets Sanctuary there by Wizk, nicely done. Big Serenity heals coming in here onto Wizk with that Guardian Spirit. And it looks like Wizk is actually going to be completely fine. Here comes the Mind Game. Ceralium now going to be on the back foot a little bit, but that Intervene is going to be doing some work for him. And now he's just going to be able to line of sight while Brain is in that last couple of seconds of that trap. Then get back to his target here. So far, looking pretty good for Method NA. They already burned through 40% of Absterge's mana.
All right, eye for an eye. Is this going to be the Ascendance pop? He's very low health at this point. Reign of Ancient King's going to proc prior to the Ascendance. If Ceralium can stabilize here, he's got that in his back pocket. He can go for a double pop and just absolutely eradicate Wizk. They're ahead on mana at this point. Offensive cooldowns are subsiding, which means the pressure will be low for the Golden Guardians. This is a good opportunity for Method NA to swing the match around here at any moment, just waiting to see that button pop by Ceralium. The Spirit Wolves coming up in 22 seconds. Wizk in a Stormbolt. Is he going to go for the pop? Ceralium goes for a Chain Harvest, and Wizk is going to Divine Shield. And again, it was prior to the Ascendance. Ascendance is still available. Ceralium's like, all right, I'm going back in the room. I'm going to wait till Divine Shield's over and then go for an Ascendance. And Wizk is having a tough time even with just Drake by himself at the moment. Ceralium gets knocked away. They know that Wizk is in a ton of trouble. They need to line up this Guardian Angel. If they don't line up this Guardian Angel on Ascendance, I think Wizk is done.
Yeah, I mean, it's certainly possible at this point. When is Ceralium going to use it? Just always has it in his back pocket. There's a Stormbolt. Drake all over Wizk right now. Ascendance still not used. Maybe they're trying to bait out the Guardian Spirit before they use it, or maybe they're just trying to see if they can get Wizk low enough. They get the Guardian Spirit. They've gotten every single defensive cooldown. There's a Blessing of Protection left, but Ceralium doesn't really care about that. He's got the Ascendance. Once he recovers, I think it's going to be an all-in play from Method NA. I think they've got this one as long as they can hold on. Ceralium might be looking to make a push right now. Drake getting a little bit low. There's a fear over on the Brain. There's the Ascendance. Here's big damage on Wizk. What is Wizk going to do? Drake's still low. He appears to be the target of choice. Bit of a strategy change here from Golden Guardians as Ceralium just appearing bulletproof at this point in the match, but Method NA still going for it. Wizk barely holding on. He matched the cooldown with his Avenging Wrath, managed to heal himself up and stay alive. Golden Guardians stay in it.
Yeah, and we're going to see here, Wizk is in that Stormbolt right there, taking quite a beating here. And so far, mana is just the biggest issue right now for the Golden Guardians. The Absterge is down to 10% here already. Ceralium looking to do what he can do on that Shaman. He doesn't have any of his personal defensives. Brain has the Sacrifice to work with here. Big damage coming out now from Wizk and Jellybeans. They had that Wings proc right there. And Jellybeans, of course, as well with that Bestial Wrath, doing up tons and tons of work. Guardian Spirit's going to trade out here for Absterge. Big pressure coming out here onto the Ceralium. Ceralium now gets interrupted, gets purged as well on his best protection. And Golden Guardians actually have good pressure right now. And we're going to see if they can keep that up before Absterge goes out of mana. Wizk is still dangerously low. No bubble here. Full hex secured. Ooh. What are they going to do here? Wizk is in a lot of trouble right now. Jellybeans looking to counter pressure. It's going to be a bit of a race here, but Brain has cooldowns to respond with. Absterge does not. Absterge does get the first crowd control, though. Nice Tremor Totem by Ceralium, freeing Brain from that Psychic Stream. Still, Mind Games coming out here. They need to dispel that immediately. Still, it gets dispelled right there. Nicely done. And now Ceralium here looking to make his way back onto the target. If they get anything onto Absterge, it could just be the game. Brain in a freezing trap. He does have his Divine Shield and that sacrifice to make the trade if he needs it, but doesn't look like he's going to go for it right now. Absterge just completely tapped on mana at this point. I think they're just going to run Ceralium down here, Sid.
I mean, mana is looking dicey on both sides at this point. Can Wizk hold on? Astral Shift trades for Ceralium. It's Wizk on the back foot. Blessing of Protection, that could get purged off at any moment, and its defense along with it. At 50% remaining health, Absterge has 0 mana. He's desperate, just lobbing out Holy Fires to try and turn the table here. Chain Harvest comes out defensively for Ceralium, trying to heal his team back up while Brain sets through a freezing trap. Sacrifice still available in the back pocket. Absterge is still working on fumes at this point, but suddenly momentum is shifting in favor of the Golden Guardians on match point. Brain is forced to trade Sacrifice, redirecting damage as his team tries to go for the kill onto Wizk. They're so close to match point here. Wizk is likely to falter. Apotheosis comes up for Absterge. He's bombing out some big heals, stabilizing him just in the nick of time, triggering out of the blinding light. He might have bought his team just enough time to kill Ceralium. A couple more seconds left. Intimidating shouts. Ceralium's trying to avoid the fight as Brain's caught in a freezing trap. Jellybeans is chasing him down on the hunt to put a point on the board here in the last series of the day. The Golden Guardians, they want to win this. They want to try and overthrow Method NA overall in the circuit standings, and it needs a reverse sweep 3 in a row. But here comes Ascendance. Ceralium, the Harvester. Will he be able to net the 3rd kill in a row for his team? Ascendance is still rolling, and you know what? Runes of LORDAERON would make a fitting final harvesting place. Method NA close it out 3-0.
The Harvester.
Evil laughing again.
Drake's just laughing once again. Oh my goodness gracious. Method NA, what an impressive performance from them. Bringing in a composition we've really never seen them play. 3-0 in Golden Guardians and continuing their undefeated streak.
I don't know about you guys. I was not expecting that to be that dominating of a performance from Method NA.
I really don't think anyone was.
They brought out a comp that we didn't really expect, and I mean, Golden Guardians just could never really find an answer for it. Unfortunately for them, they kind of threw away, game number 1 is kind of whatever, but they threw away game number 2. I think that was the big one. If they played out a long game like this on game number 2, maybe they would have locked in something else here for game number 3, but yeah, we're going to see those last couple of seconds. And I mean, for Ceralium, he's just waiting for that Ascendance, coming back off cooldown right now. And Ceralium, he's feeling very confident. Brain is sitting down for a sip in the middle of everything right there. Flame Shock comes out. Here comes the Ascendance. Here comes the Harvester. He's rolling up his sleeves. He grabs his shovel, and he's just starting to really dig into the ground, making sure that Wizk gets buried here. And they take, I mean, not only do they take the win against Golden Guardians here, but they still have only dropped a single map so far on the side of Method NA.
Not bad.
No, definitely not bad. They are going to take that 3-0. So well done to those guys. I mean, it just kind of seems like these guys are. I mean, they are. If you look at their record, these guys, Method NA, completely unstoppable. And I just at this point, they've only got 3 days left of competition, Supatis, to lock in that perfect match record. And I wonder if they're the team to do it.
Who's going to do it first? Skill capped or Method?
True.
Well, Europe gets to play first, so